when that person's yelling and screaming at you, it's not about you.
It's not about you.
It's
Right.
about something that happened yesterday, last week, 6 months ago.
In a world that often feels overwhelming, the question is always, how do we raise kids who are not just successful, but also kind? Right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
guys, welcome to the Overflowing Buckets. Teresa, welcome. This is where people give freely from their overflowing bucket to fill others up. And I love that this is an area that we're overflowing with because, guys, today we're visiting with Teresa Ramirez. She is an award-winning, best-selling author, motivational speaker, and all-around kindness champion. She's on a mission to empower parents like me to become the CEOs of their families, creating a loving and joyful environment where kindness flourishes. From fun with bubbles inspiration to practical tips for cultivating happy moments, Teresa is here to help us navigate the challenges of a modern parenting. Everyone, Teresa Ramirez. Teresa, my favorite kind of topic. Tell me, how did this come about? Like how did you get, like, because we're talking parenting styles and then like changing like parenting styles to actually becoming the CEO of their families. Like, explain that.
Yeah, for me, this started with a school shooting, and and it was all about empowering the kids,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't have to wait for laws to change. They don't have to wait for policies in the school to change. I wanted to make sure that we were empowering our kids to know they can do things
Yeah.
in their own little hands. It's all up to them. Yeah, they can sit with the kid alone at lunch. They can pick up if somebody drops pencils or paper or books, help them pick them up.
Right.
It's real. It's
Versus
real simple.
versus like what do you think the challenge was that this wasn't happening?
You know, a lot of times people would tell me the peer pressure, and I said, well, that's fine, but let's switch peer pressure. Why can't peer pressure be about pressuring people to be kind to each other? Why can't
Right.
we flip that? We can flip, the kids can flip that, but we have to model our behavior as parents so they know how to flip it.
So give me some, so
It
how is this happening? How are you seeing this playing out? Like let's move forward from that. So we've got these kids and we want them to be kind, and you're like, hey, we flip that, it starts with us. Like, give me some examples. How do we see that playing out?
well, it's simple day-to-day stuff. And
Okay.
we're going back to basics, real basics. Smile
Everything
and say
goes
hi to
back to,
somebody.
right? Ah,
I
smile and
just,
say hello.
somewhere along the line, we are so busy staring at our phones, we don't look up. You
Mm,
could pass 20 people and not even know it
yeah,
because you're so glued.
right. Do you think, are they, so he- I have a 26-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 14-year-old. My 14-year-old's homeschooled. So I'm a little bit out of this. So help me understand a little bit. Are we seeing a lot of kids like on their phones, like walking in the halls at school?
It depends on the school.
Okay. So
Some schools, some schools that phone has to be in your backpack or locker all the time.
are there
Other schools, yeah,
statistics?
in between classes, you can have it out. You can do this or that.
Yeah, I
So
know.
it just depends.
Yeah, I know, like, I know there was a challenge for me where my kids were kind of encouraged to have their phone. They were doing their classes on their phone, right? They were doing school literally on their laptop or on their phone. So they were always on their phone. Earbuds were in, and I felt like this was something that was always a thing for them. Are there statistics that show that it's better to not allow phone use so that they do have that interaction with one another versus just being on their phones?
I don't know of any statistics, but that doesn't mean they're not out there. But
Mm.
I'm just thinking, just to inter, I think it's better to interact with each other
Well,
and say,
considering we're
have some
like,
eye contact. I
yeah,
can't imagine that that's not better. Let's put it that way.
I'd I'd like somebody argue with me differently. Somebody argue differently. I'd
Yes.
like to see you. I'd like you to try to like prove that point. I agree completely. Like it makes sense. We're essentially pack animals, right? We need people need people.
Right.
We need community,
Right.
and to do that, you do have to make eye contact. You do need to smile. You need to say hello. And what are some
Well,
other?
and I was going to tell you, I wanted to share real quick
Hmm.
that a perfect example, because everybody gets, oh, smile and hello, that's nothing. I said, you don't know the impact that has on someone that doesn't have a lot of people around them during the day. You might be the only hello they hear all day long, which is sad, but it happens. And this gentleman I knew, he retired and was bored to tears. And he said, did somebody go, a friend of his had a parking garage and needed an attendant. And he said, okay. And the guy loves it. He's having a ball. But, he went on vacation for a couple weeks. And when he came back, the people, his regular people, were like, where have you been? My 2 weeks have been awful because I didn't have your good morning and your smile.
Oh, he was
And
missed.
they just said, your good morning and your smile helped me set my day on a good note. And the guy looked at me one day and he said, you always told me that it had a great impact. And he said, I did not realize it until someone told me.
Oh, he
So
didn't
there's an
realize
example of
that.
how impactful it really is
Yeah.
and how
So
simple.
that is so simple. And so how do you avoid like instilling fear? How do you avoid that into like
I
into kids? Because
don't
you said that
do
you
it.
brought up that you this came out from the shooting, and you probably have some advice on how to not instill fear into the children, into our kids.
Just go back to you are the CEO of the family. You said these are the values, and I'm teaching you kindness. I am modeling kindness for you. If something comes up at school, I give you an idea. I give you, as a parent, ideas on how to be kind to someone, to your fellow students, and just keep empowering them. Be kind to everybody. Start saying hi to everybody in the halls, and that includes your custodian and your cafeteria workers, which I call invisible people.
Hmm.
We love them. They serve a great purpose. But how many people actually speak to them? Think about it. Think about it. Last time you were in the school, those people, they like, just give me my food, just clean up my mess. I, I don't even see you. So
Yeah.
it makes up, just that, again, that personal interaction. And I just read recently, a couple weeks ago, there was a school that had a kid come into their school. He changed schools because he'd been bullied so badly at the last school.
Mm.
And the principal just put it out to the kids in his class. How are we going to make him feel welcome in this school? The kids took off with it. They threw him a welcome party. They gave him gifts. They said, okay, what clubs or groups are you interested in? I'll help you get into that.
Right.
Here, I'll show you where your classes are. The kids took off with all the principal had to do was hand it off to them. And they took it and ran. And it's those kind of things that as parents, your kid comes home and tells you about that. Yeah, let's do this. You just help them and encourage them.
Right.
Don't, downplay. Because I don't want my kids living in fear. You don't.
No.
So, downplay the fear. Yes, it happened. Yes, here are the preventive measures you can take if something does happen. But let's empower you so that it doesn't happen.
So are you seeing a lot of fear?
Yes and no. It's again, it depends on the school. What
Okay.
is that school emphasizing?
Okay.
Prevention of by using kindness and other things, preventing it to include all the students, make sure all the students are on a same level,
Mm-hmm.
or are they enforcing the fear and
So,
only practicing? Well, if a shooter comes in, this is what we're going to do. Da, 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 da.
right. Yeah. So,
And again, that's school by school.
which are there certain parts of the country that has this more like so like I don't see this. So this is just something like, I don't want to say I'm oblivious to, like I'm aware, we go to school, but
Right.
it's not, that isn't my world. And also the folks that in my circle don't tend to live in fear, right? Like we tend to
Right.
be a very joyful bunch. And I'm grateful for my people. If you guys are listening, thank you for being the joyful
Yeah.
people that you are, the optimistic people, and the people that
Yay.
are the changers of the world, right? We're the ones that make,
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
and just spread joy. So
No, again, I don't know because I can only tell my world, which is my great nieces and nephews who are in schools.
yeah,
And amazingly, the ones here, there's two school districts here in Cincinnati. They they are putting out kindness all the time. They have kindness councils
yeah,
in the elementary schools. So each student from each grade is selected by a teacher, and they have an overseas school teacher overseeing that council. And most of that is how do we how do you greet each other when they come in the morning? Can we do can you give a sucker day just to everyone you meet? Just little things like that. And then their high school has it's called Hope Squad, and it's suicide prevention.
yeah,
So reaching out, touching those kids to make sure that it's not going to go down. So that's what I see in my little small little world. Now, not every school does that. That's true. That's why I'm here
yeah.
to kind of
Because I think I see the same
encourage that.
thing. Yeah, I see the same thing in our district, and I think, like, I'm like, wow, these schools are really. I feel like they're doing such a great job. So tell us about your book.
My book. I love my book. I love my book. And it's just taking, first of all, I won an award. Thank you. And
Yay! We
because I'm
always
so
like
proud.
having
Okay,
awards.
I'm bragging because I'm so proud of that. I'm so excited.
And you should be.
But
And you should be.
yeah, it is. And the official ceremony to receive that award is this Saturday. So
Oh,
I'm all
yay.
fired up.
Oh, of course you
I'm all
are.
fired up.
So tell us about your book. Tell us all about it.
My book, and people, I was doing some podcasts, and the people are like, write it down, and I'm like, fine. And God was like, write it down. I didn't give this to you for nothing. So I finally wrote it down, and it's a simple process. I tried to keep it simple. Parents are so busy; they don't need a lot of more piled on their plate,
No, we don't.
and so I tried to keep it as simple as possible because kindness is simple.
It is.
And you want to make it as natural as breathing. You want to make it intentional. So I started out with the smile and that hello and the shopping carts, which is the bane of my existence. And it just irritates me when someone puts their cart in the middle of a parking space. And all I imagine is the mom with the three kids sees the coveted close to the store parking spot and can't pull in because there's a cart in the middle of it. And I'm thinking, when you put those back, you're already eliminating frustration for somebody. It's that simple. It's as simple as produce bag story. I love this story.
What's the story?
This is the best one. You've been there. You're in the shopping cart. You got the crying toddler. You're at the produce. You're trying to open those darn plastic bags that never open.
It's
And
like,
all
are
I
you
can
at the
see on
top or
her
are you at the
face is,
bottom? You go back to the top. No,
right,
that didn't open. At the bottom, at the other side, that didn't open. The other side, that didn't open. This side, that neither. It doesn't open. Okay, I'll lick my finger. What if I lick my finger? Shoot. And what if I blow on it? What if I lick? Ah! I'll rip it. Oh no, that was the bottom.
Yes, yes. So you're there, and you have a screaming toddler, and
Yeah.
you only have to get two things, and then you can get out of there,
Right.
right? And this gentleman came up to her, took the bag, opened it. You just wanted to kind of slap him because it was so easy, but the kid stops crying. You can get your stuff, and the weight of the world was lifted off that woman's shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
all because you just opened a produce bag.
Yeah.
Just like that's easy. So that's how the book goes along with easy things like that. And then it gets into the bigger things. We want to buy the coffee or the lunch for the person behind us.
Mm-hmm.
That's fabulous. You want to do a drive at school for food banks. Or my favorite is if all the kids get together, their the lunch accounts that are past due
Mm-hmm.
or overdue,
And pay
whatever
those.
word you want to use.
Yeah.
You do some kind of, bake sale or something, and all those proceeds go to pay off those accounts for somebody.
Yeah.
That's just community working together to make a difference. And
I
it's
love
not
that.
hard. I guess it's still not hard. And
It's not
then
hard. It's
my
a
book
matter of
goes
being
into,
aware. I think it's an
I think
awareness
that's it. Yes. And I
and a
think,
willingness.
I find that more than anything that people just don't think. They're just, they're in their own little worlds, which then
Mm-hmm.
and they just don't think. Or their own little world is the cell phone.
Yes.
um, yeah. So they just broadening their horizons a little bit. But I've been there. I know what it's like to be a busy single mom. It's tough. But then I go, because now you're making it as natural as breathing, because you're incorporating it into your life where you can. And I give you the framework, and then you tweak it and take the pieces so that it works in your world.
So what's so good about this
So
is
my
that,
world is different from yours. So you take pieces to make it work in yours.
yeah, and I think what's so cool about this is that once you start that, it's basic physics, right? Like attracts like,
Right.
right? And oil attracts oil,
Right.
water attracts water, kindness attracts kindness. And then
Yes.
it just
That's very
compounds.
true.
It compounds.
It's very true. And then toward the end of the book, it's more about the sticky, awkward situations you could get into
Yeah.
where, and one of my favorite sayings is by W.C. Fields, of all people: just because you're invited to an argument doesn't mean you have to attend.
Mm,
And, and, he's so true. It's so
yeah.
true. But how many times have you been sucked into an argument and you didn't even realize it?
Mm,
So you're 15 minutes into yelling and screaming about something you really don't care about.
right. Well, what are so sometimes there's conversations, right? Where we do need to have.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how do you suggest folks go into those with that kindness, with that empathy? Do you have any tips or tricks to make that happen?
Yes. First of all, you're going to, depending on, I always use the boardroom, because that's when things get heated, but you have to have those conversations.
Yeah.
And, you go in, you take your pause before you even walk into a room or the principal's office, whatever you need to do. You take that pause and take a deep breath and blow it out. And remember the goal.
Yeah.
And you go into the conversation, say it does get heated, and it does, then call for a 5-minute break. Because now everybody's talking at once, raising voices, nobody's hearing anybody.
Right.
And that happens way too often. And so call for a timeout. Even adults need timeouts.
Right.
People forget that. Even adults can use a timeout. And just have them, 5-10 minutes, go get a coffee, to everybody go breathe, and then come back in that calmer setting. And usually you can come back and have a constructive conversation, and you can start, okay, team A, your pieces 2 and 4 look really good. And team B, I like your ideas 1 and 3. Can we combine them and make this work?
Right.
It's a hit. I said it's easy. It's back to basics, and I think we've somehow lost that. And we just need to get back to that. We want to resolve this, so let's sit down and be the adults that we are and have that conversation. And then there's some certain topics you don't need to talk about. If your friend is on the opposite side of the spectrum from you, you're not going to change their mind. You're not going to change your mind. Don't talk about it. You just don't need to even go there.
And in this day and age, we're
And
finding that to be true about politics, right?
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking of. It
Well,
is,
I
because
I
how
like to
many
just say
people
things, so
think
I'm just
about
like,
it? Think about
right,
it. After the election, I was hearing people say, "Well, I'm never going to talk to that family member because they voted this way,
right.
and he voted to kill me." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, this happened
Just the,
in the last 10 years. I think in the last 10 years, there's been a very harshness about it that I think, if I remember, I remember when I was younger, and I was just thinking about this, like, you go back, like Jimmy Carter, like people disagreed, Reagan, like there was a lot of people that just disagreed, and they might have heated debates, but people didn't like, families didn't stop talking to one another. People didn't
exactly,
stop,
exactly,
like people didn't disown people. There was kind of like, can you believe they think that, Jimmy Carter is all that? Can you believe they think Bush is all that? You know, but something
who's this
happened,
Ronald Reagan?
right? There, something has happened where it became a personal attack when somebody thought they they liked one person. And here's what's so interesting. There's something good about everybody, and there's something not to like about everybody.
Mhm.
And I I don't understand the personal attack thing because and I do struggle with this. I don't understand
Yeah.
that personal, how because I like this person for this point and I like this person for this point,
Hmm.
I basically just my husband told me, he said back in the day the people that went on the guillotine were the people in the middle, or the guillotine, not
Oh,
guillotine, guillotine, were the people in the middle,
okay.
because basically both strong-minded people on both sides, they could both agree, off with your head. Nobody was going to stand up for you. And I was like, he said, Bettina, you would have been the first on the guillotine, because like, I'm like, yeah, I can agree with you and I can agree with you. So both extremists dislike me
Right,
here, right? So both
right.
extremists, and I have found this to be true, and it's probably one of my biggest struggles. Eh, I say that, but like a personal, like
It's not a struggle.
it's a thing I
Because
don't
I'm the same way.
understand. Like I struggle to
Yeah.
comprehend, I struggle to understand, and
No, I'm the same way because I'm pretty middle. I can do the compromise. That's why I talk about it so much. So why can't you? Why can't you come just a little bit this way and you come just a little bit this way? And yeah, I don't know why that is. I don't know why we cannot agree to disagree,
mhm.
agree, to,
Yeah.
it doesn't make
Well,
sense.
a lot of times I don't disagree. I don't disagree with your facts, right?
Hmm.
Your facts
Right.
might be true. I just don't feel that they're a personal attack for me. It doesn't waive how I'm choosing to move forward in my life, right? I'm
Right.
not getting on that bandwagon of hate.
Things would be so much better if you didn't get on that bandwagon.
If
You
we
can
didn't
have
get
your opinion, but
right,
does it have to go to that extreme of off with your heads?
we don't have to do the off with your heads. We can continue in conversation, continue in
Hmm.
dialogue, and continue with evolving and developing through kindness and compassion. And I think that the world will be a better place through that versus just stop talking. When you just stop, I think the challenge comes is when we stop talking, when we stop making eye contact, when we stop smiling, when we stop saying hello. All those things that you had mentioned, that's the foundation of everything. If we just start there, eye contact, hello, smile, just like you said, right?
Hmm.
And the
Right.
fundamental, somebody drops a pen. Is that what you said? They drop their crayons or something, you help
Yeah,
them pick it
yeah,
up.
because that's what the kids talk to me. Yeah, we're always dropping pencils. It's like, okay.
Yeah, my son used to be the king of dropping pencils. He'd get in trouble for dropping pencils. His pencils, like he's like, and all like it just like falls out of. I'm like, how does it fall? He's like, I don't know. And so I just gave him a
Kids
stack of
say it
pencils.
happens all the time. It's
Yeah.
like half the class is spent with people picking up their pencils.
I just gave him a stack of pencils right there. And then at the end of his quote
Yes.
unquote shift, he can go pick up all his pencils, get a new pencil.
That's so
So,
cute.
is there anything that you would like to make like the world to know?
Personal pain is as unique as a fingerprint. You never know what someone is going through. So always,
Mm.
always, always be kind.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's painful. Beautiful.
It's painful, but you know, when that person's yelling and screaming at you, it's not about you.
It's not about you.
It's
Right.
about something that happened yesterday, last week, 6 months ago.